Welcome to Consented, a podcast by Usercentrics that delves into the world of privacy-led marketing. Each episode, we bring you expert guests from our partner network to discuss the latest trends, strategies, and best practices to explore how you can grow your business while respecting your customers' privacy. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome to episode 6 of Consented. In today's episode, we're going to hear about the power of partnerships from top industry experts and how through strategic partnerships, you can unlock growth and opportunity for your business. I'm very excited to say that we have our very own CEO, Donna Dror, on the podcast today. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you for having me.
Could you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you've mentioned, I'm the CEO of Usercentrics. I've been with the company for just over 2.5 years, and I was lucky enough to stumble on the Usercentrics opportunity through my work with a venture capital called Full In, New York-based VC, in my very biased view, the best VC. And I've been doing advisory work for them for just over 5 years now, and they introduced me to Usercentrics originally for consulting, and then it was decided that I would join full-time. And previously to Usercentrics, I was part of a company called SimilarWeb, joined when the company was 10 million in ARR, left when the company was 150 million in ARR, and lucky enough to be part of the team that took the company public. So that's a bit about me professionally. And then maybe on a personal note, I was born in South Africa. I grew up in England and in Israel. I've been living in New York for a decade, and I've spent the last 2+ years spending half my time in our offices in Czech Republic, Germany, Denmark, and Lisbon, Portugal. So that's a bit about me.
Great. Thank you, Donna. Our next guest is Alexey Pronin, General Manager at one of our partner companies, Shopware. Welcome, Alexey.
Thank you for inviting me.
Please tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so on the professional side, I'm by now 19 years in the software space, got stuck into the industry for quite a while. 11 years out of those, I'm in the e-commerce platforms dimension. So everything to do with customer experience is super close to my heart, and turned out to be my full-time hobby for 11 years, as I mentioned. In terms of the company's background, the majority of my career I have spent in large corporates such as Oracle and SAP, and have had quite an interesting journey there. Then at some point got a little bit tired of big corporate machines and bureaucracies, and made a shift into the startup and scale-up world around 4 years ago. Currently, for already 1 year, I'm running go-to-market for EMEA at Shopware. And of course, this includes partnerships, and partnerships angle is a very important element of our ecosystem and a very important cornerstone of our success. So super happy to be here to discuss this subject and exchange experience. On the personal side, I do enjoy traveling. I don't have such a great track record as Donna with multiple countries where I lived in. I so far did hit 3 countries where I lived. Historically Russia, then Switzerland, and now Germany. In terms of visiting, it's like 57 countries last time I counted.
Amazing. Nice to have you here today, Alexey. And our final guest is Till-Florian Schäfer, Head of Business at our other partner company, Trusted Shops. Welcome, Till.
Thanks for having me.
Could you please tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, sure. I've been working in the e-commerce sector for more than 15 years now. My professional background is that I studied law and economics, so still very focused on these 2 topics. One of my main responsibilities at Trusted Shops are partnerships and everything that goes with it from the different perspectives, and of course, as you mentioned, business development. I'm also a traveler, but not with a track record either that Donna or Alexey have, but I do it more taste-wise. I'm a coffee aficionado, from roasting my own coffee, different brewing techniques, and enjoying coffee. And I think this is also what can take you around the world without leaving your house, actually.
Amazing. Nice to have you here today. So Till and Alexey, actually, your companies are also partners with each other, as well as you both being partners with Usercentrics. And both of your companies, Trusted Shops and Shopware, are heavily involved in the e-commerce world. So I'd love to hear a little bit from the two of you. What are the main challenges and opportunities that you're currently seeing in e-commerce?
Yeah, what I think is interesting right now. I've seen many crises happening since working in e-commerce, and a funny thing is that in the past, often those crises did not affect our e-commerce growth, and often even led to more growth. I think the most prominent one is of course, the COVID pandemic, which gave a great push on e-commerce, but also when we had like the subprime crisis or things, financial crisis, usually it did not really affect the e-commerce growth. This time is different. So we see our customers in the e-commerce sector as a whole have a struggling in growing like the 2-digit numbers they did in the past, and some even shrinking. But I strongly believe that we do not have a reversal of the trend in shifting revenues from bricks and mortar to e-commerce companies, and I think this is also underlined by the problems the physical stores are facing. So what I think is that once the economy rises again, the 2-digit growth should be back in e-commerce. Of course, it's important or interesting to see how the different players actually participate in this growth. We've seen strong growth, of course, on the platforms. We see new players coming over from China, like Shein or Temu, but also for the like more independent retailers that we present as our customers. I think they still will have those growth opportunities they had in the past. And of course, this is coming back to our topic again. What we see that an ecosystem of partnerships is also a strong leverage to foster this growth.
Yeah, so from our side, speaking about the challenges, out of my view and out of my experience, the key challenge we can see right now in the e-commerce market is definitely differentiation, specifically in the B2C space. What I mean by that is, as we all know, e-commerce is not like a new industry anymore. It's a pretty mature space. And what we see across our customers is obviously that literally all of them have got this or that level of transactional B2C e-commerce presence nowadays. And like if we simplify things, the differentiation is a question mark. So many of them look alike, right? And many of them provide the same kind of level of experience and engagement for the customers. So in our view, the next wave from e-commerce perspective, and the thing that many shops nowadays need to overcome, is definitely to provide more uniqueness and more specifics into the customer experience they're driving. And this is also where we as Shopware are investing heavily. This one area which we strongly believe is going to be the game changer moving forward is spatial commerce. So bringing everything to do with virtual reality and AR into the commerce experience on a daily basis. And another dimension is, of course, the AI capabilities, which can help enrich the journey quite big time. So that's on the challenges side. Speaking for growth, I do believe, and we have got, I think, quite a lot of statistics published everywhere, that the growth dimension for e-commerce world is clearly in the B2B space. So B2B is definitely years behind B2C from the digitalization and from the online presence specifically. And therefore, like also echoing the previous comment from Till, the double-digit and even like stronger growth would be expected, in my view, in the B2B space specifically.
Really interesting. So a question to everyone. Throughout your careers, how have you seen partnerships contributing to the growth of the organizations that you've worked in?
Yeah, maybe I can jump in here because I was thinking about this when Till was talking about growth through additional markets. I think partnerships can play a really big part of geo expansion. A big part of entering a new market is understanding the cultural differences, the specific market dynamics, understanding the kind of messaging that will resonate. Sometimes it's about adjusting pricing and packaging or positioning. Like there's a lot that goes into uncharted territories, and the idea of using a partner has always been something that has resonated with me and something that's worked very well a lot of the times, because a local partner has local expertise, so they can walk you through and bridge the gap of maybe the things you're less familiar with. Not to mention they have a Rolodex that they can lean on as well. So for me, partnerships expansion goes hand in hand with geo expansion when done correctly.
Mm-hmm.
What we've seen is not only using it for entering new markets, like Donna just explained, but also in markets we're already in, tackling really new target groups. I think most companies do have a certain target group or different target groups they tackle, but usually there's something of the market left. We, for instance, have used partnerships reaching target groups of customers which are usually below the size of our typical customers, where our whole business approach and sales approach did not really fit. But with a partner that has access to smaller customers, you can deal with just this one partner, but reaching 10,000 of users. And this is also highly attractive because, just as Donna said, they know their home turf. This is not a different country, not a different culture, but a different company size they are dealing with. And this is also very helpful to have a partner on your side if you want to go in there and ensure your success.
A couple of points from my side. I think, first of all, definitely echo what Donna has mentioned with regards to the new markets. It's normally just optimizing time of the success of your go-to-market if you have got the right partner in place in the specifically new geography for your company. Speaking about various target groups, which Till has mentioned here, we see, like from Shopware side, a little bit different. So we have got a strong belief into the importance of focusing on our ICP. And out of our experience and out of my personal experience as well, the moment you try to fulfill the needs of too many segments, you kind of lose this focus and you need to adjust too much unless you have got the right scale to cover all of those segments. If you are SAP or Oracle, you definitely can do that. But if you're a smaller business, it can be quite challenging. Another element which I think can also be quite appealing in partnerships is definitely the growth within the existing markets. So we, for example, as Shopware, are definitely one of the market leaders in our niche, in our space, in the DACH market, and we're like the platform number one for top 1,000 shops in Germany specifically. And together with that, we still see quite a huge opportunity for ourselves to practically, like in very business terms, increase our share of wallet with our customers through the approach of proposing them complementary solutions to our own platform. So obviously in the e-commerce world, there are many different technologies in the ecosystem, and customers do normally consume not only the core commerce platform, they do buy a lot of various complementary toolsets. And this is also where we help them and guide them within our ecosystem in on multiple levels and with multiple levers, so to say. So one of them is definitely our Shopware store. So we practically have got our own marketplace. And through this, we give a huge freedom to our merchants to choose the technologies in be it marketing automation space, identity and consent, CDPs of this world, and whatever else you can imagine coming hand in hand with the e-commerce platforms. Together with that, we have got a series of strategic partnerships where we are working way more closely, for example, with a number of payment providers such as PayPal, such as Stripe, Adyen, and many others. And in the last months, we're also actively exploring the white label approach to the partnerships, also with an idea to get a wider share of wallet in the engagement with our customers.
So working with partners, there are a lot of opportunities, right? Like, as we've just said, expanding into new markets, getting deeper into existing markets, and then increasing your share of wallet with your existing customers. However, working with partners is not always easy and it's not always successful. So, Donna, for example, in your experience, expanding into new markets with partners, have you ever come across a situation where it wasn't so easy?
Yes, many. I think there's a lot that goes into building a successful partnership. I think a lot of the time, the company that is building the relationship with the partner has a long list of expectations, but forgets to build their own list of expectations. And that is a tangent that could take a long time to go through. But maybe I can give a specific example of when working with a partner didn't go as planned. And this was an example from a company that I did some consulting for. We found a local partner for them in a market they were excited to expand into. And I thought we did a good job on my previous point as it related to both sides doing the work needed to make the partnership successful. So not just expecting the partner to do their bit, but both sides contributing. What was missed was target setting. So the targets that were set for the partner were all about new ARR. And as such, the partner was heavily incentivized to bring in lots of new customers. Sounds great, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Problem is, they didn't set a good enough target when it related to either net new ARR or retention. Those two things are obviously connected. And as a result, yes, they were incentivized to bring in new customers, but they weren't incentivized to ensure the product market fit and the long-term use case. And as such, a lot of the customers that brought in actually churned. This is what's called in our industry a leaky bucket. And it took a really long time to realize that there was a problem there, because when you're only focused on new ARR, the numbers look great. But when you look at net new ARR, which includes retention in it, you realize that you've got a problem. And for me, this was a really, really important lesson in understanding how target setting incentivizes behavior and how the right targets have to be put in place to ensure the kind of results that you're optimizing for.
Yeah, very, very true. You need to have your targets set correctly and everybody to understand them. Alexey, Till, have you had any similar experiences?
Oh,
sorry, go for it, Alexey.
From my side, fully would fully agree on the target setting, and just to add up probably on top of that, I think it's also important to set up the realistic expectations for both parties, because what I observed in, let's say, my experience in different partnerships is that obviously, like naturally for human beings in the beginning of the process, we're all super pumped up and positive. Oh, how great our joint idea is and how we'll win the world with that. And quite often, obviously, you need to fine tune your business case on the way, and you need to make sure that you have got more or less realistic expectations in place. So out of my experience, like going through the business case with the partner multiple times to make sure it's solid for both parties, and you guys believe that these are the numbers you're really going after, is super important. Because if you aiming high is perfect and fantastic, but if you aim way too high, it can turn out that after 6 months, after 1 year of the initial start of the partnership, you end up in the situation, oh, we are way, way, way below targets and everybody is unhappy, right? And then you need to reset the expectations. So I think this part is important. And the other one, I think, which also Donna had in mind with regards to the two lists on both sides, with regards to what you want to do and what you want to achieve, it's definitely key that there is a two-way street in the partnership for the long term. That there is a clear benefit for each of the parties moving forward. Otherwise, it will be a very short-term engagement when one of the parties will grab what they want, right? And then it all falls apart. So this two-way motion is always something you need to keep in mind, in my view.
Yeah, this is also something that we've experienced, and what I really try to do when looking at partnerships, trying to have it economically balanced. So not only looking at my plate and see what we can get out of it, but also trying to step into the partner's shoes and see the business case coming from their side. And especially what Donna was talking about when she was talking about new customers which are not picked very well and then churn quite quickly. This is important to understand that when does my business case work and when does my partner's business case work. And if we do not have a shared scenario where they work, but in one scenario my business case works, in the other scenario my partner's business case work, then it's not done very well. And last point that I've experienced is that you often have a window of opportunity for partnerships to really take off. So you have the right people on your partner's side. They have resources for pushing it, and you really need to make sure that you have it to take off during this window of opportunity, because I've experienced it in the past that you had a great in the end, a great partnership, and all those economic factors were balanced out very well, and all things were good. But there was a shift in focus on the partner side, because they said, okay, this market probably is not that important for us anymore, or we're having a strategic shift. So you really need to make sure that once you have agreed on things, just to have it take off quickly. Otherwise, this window of opportunity might be missed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that goes back a little bit to what Alexey was saying, is when you see the opportunity and you get so excited about it, and you can see, wow, this is going to be great for our company, it's going to be great for your company. But at the same time, if we rush into things and we over amp the opportunity, we can actually run into these issues that we've just discussed. So keeping those things in mind, we do actually need to be a little bit careful evaluating partnerships and have criteria that we look at before getting ourselves into these kind of situations. So I'd like to hear from all of you. What kind of qualification criteria do you put in place when you evaluate partnerships? Till?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in the end, it depends on the type of partnerships, but just for having an example here, we are having a joint product offering, and it's basically our product, and we want to offer it to a partner, to a market we haven't been tackling so far. And then what we really do in the beginning is asking ourselves, what is our goal? So how many users do we want to reach? What should be the ARR coming out of it? Also, of course, criteria like retention rates, etc. And then we really break these things down to singular topics, and then we ask ourselves, okay, does the partner, for instance, have access to the target market? What's the TAM there? So how many customers is this single partner able to address with a product, and is it enough for us to reach our goals? Do the products, the partners, and we have match, and do also the sales channels match? So, the best case is that those products we are offering jointly accompany each other. And we also, of course, then try to find out if all those boxes are ticked for a single partner. We are looking at competition. So what's competition then? Can we have a competitive advancement when partnering there? And in the end, what's also important for us to at least try to find out if a certain partner has a track record in successful partnerships. So does this kind of business model work there before? Of course, sometimes you need to be the first, and sometimes you need to be the first in line. But often it's important to find out if there's have been track records of successful partnerships where they really had great ARR generated, and then this is something you can also follow, like how did they do it?
Yep, exactly. Donna, what would your qualification criteria be for evaluating partnerships?
Well, Till took a lot of them, so...
I'm sorry, Donna.
At least we're all on the same page.
We are, definitely. I feel like Till really did touch on a lot of the things that I wanted to speak about. There's the general criteria as it relates to the business case, the ICP, things of that sort. But I actually want to touch upon the concept of a track record, because there's something really small and tactical that has made a big difference for me when working with partnerships. And it's going to sound a bit silly and obvious, but sometimes the most obvious things are the ones that need a wee bit of a reminder. And that's the concept of reference calls. Because it's one thing to take a look at their website and see the case studies and get a sense from them on how they work with companies like yourselves. But it really is a different experience to go out of your way to speak to companies that they've worked with across different stages and for different use cases. So I was consulting a startup with 10 people, and all of the examples that the partner was giving was about bigger companies. And of course, they were really, exciting case studies, but they were so not relevant to the company in question. And when they did a reference call with a startup of a similar size, that startup basically said, listen, they were good and we made it work, but maybe this isn't a good fit for where you are right now. And that really goes a long way. the partner could be fantastic, but it's about finding the right partner at the right time for the right company. And I've found that reference calls, as obvious as it may seem, is a really important part of the qualification process.
Yeah, so key, definitely. Alexey, is there anything you'd like to add to the list?
Yeah, it's complicated to the list now. A lot of things are covered. I fully agree with all the points mentioned, and on the references, definitely, I think we do have a habit to do the references when we hire people, for example, right? But for whatever reason, we are not always doing this in partnerships. I fully agree on that. What I would add out of, let's say, natural. Matching the ICPs, matching the target geographies where you're working, which can definitely be and should be the important criteria. For me, I think specifically in our space, the complementarity element, which I mentioned earlier, is definitely an important one. So if you are in discussion for the partnership, but you know that ultimately for your product, which you guys are discussing, you have got different audiences. And for example, like the natural buyer for Shopware is either the CIO or e-commerce director. And then all of a sudden you jump into the partnership with a product, which is normally provided for the supply chain people. Probably you don't have a huge match and a huge prerequisite for success, because like speaking to different buyers, speaking to different personas, you need to reshuffle big time your sales organization, unless it's self-service, right? And this is definitely the factor which I would highly recommend to keep in mind. And the last element is definitely for me always the mutual commitment and feeling the energy with regards to the partnership from the other side. Because if on the initial stages you don't feel like that the other party is really engaged, right, and is really willing to spend time and effort and go into details with you on that, probably don't even move forward, because most likely they will have even less time for you as soon as the deal is done and the partnership is announced.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody needs to be excited in the beginning to at least be on the same page. So I'm going to shift the conversation a little bit and talk a little bit about, well, what we all do together, which is addressing data privacy issues. Data privacy regulations are tightening around the world. Data privacy and compliance are now extremely important elements that business leaders need to consider in every aspect of their business, right? And that is now including partnerships. So with this increasing pressure about data privacy and security, not just from the legislators now, but also from individuals requesting that their data privacy is respected and they are looking for that element of trust. What is your approach to data governance and compliance when selecting and working with partners?
Yeah, maybe I can jump in here first. Very passionate about the space. It's kind of the premise of what Usercentrics was founded on. I'd say when thinking about the concept of data privacy and compliance as it relates to the partner ecosystem, I would really like to find partners that can align with our approach and our perspective. And our perspective is that for too long, there's been kind of this conflict between compliance and growth, whereas we see these things as complementary when done in the right way and when approached in the right way. And we'd really like to have partners that see it through a similar lens. So compliance shouldn't just be about ticking the box. It shouldn't just be about let's avoid a fine. Compliance should be a bigger part of building trust with your users and really trying to build the kind of brand that focuses on customer first. So when a big part of your North Star is your users, is your customers, then a big part of it should be giving them as much transparency and control as possible and really building the trust with them so that they know that if you are collecting data about them, what is it that you're collecting and what is it that you're going to be doing with it. So we'd really, really like to find partners that are trying to build this era of what we like to call privacy-led marketing, which hinges on the fact that brands understand that building trust with their customers is really important, and collecting data for the sake of data isn't as important as we made it out to be. And by the way, a lot of these companies don't even use the data that they're collecting. So really just trying to find partners that align with that vision. It's a big part of what we're trying to achieve here at Usercentrics. And I will say we are seeing a really positive shift in that direction.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Donna, you just, I think you mentioned the word trust quite sometimes, and for us as trusted shops, trust not just in our company name, it's in our DNA. So of course for us, data privacy and treating data in the right way is something you have to do without even thinking about it. So it's clear, and of course people are in a way used to like paying with their data as a trade-off for services they can use online, and I think everyone or most people know about it, and maybe many do not think that much about it, but deep down inside they know it somehow. And I think you still need to ask yourself how much data is really needed, and this is also what you were just mentioning. And what we see is that customers really have an interest in knowing what happens with their data, and they want transparency. And this is not something new. I mean, of course, with the GDPR thing back in 2018, it probably became more present in the media and in society. But looking at France, for instance, I think they had their first Data Privacy Act back in the 1970s. So there's a long tradition, at least in Europe, for having those issues or those questions coming up. And I think this is not something you can differentiate yourself in a positive way, but you can lose a lot, and you can still be a successful company, or you are a more successful company if you take those things serious. And this hasn't, I think, reached every company so far. Many still think, as you were mentioning it, if I'm compliant, I will probably ruin my business, but it's exactly the other way around.
Yeah, so for us, obviously, as we're historically a Germany headquartered company, and big portion of our customers and users and also partners are in Germany. I think Germany is, both from business and consumers perspective, is known and famous for being very serious on data privacy and compliance. And obviously, this is where we put a lot of focus in terms of product development, which we are doing, and the products we are launching as Shopware. And also together with that, of course, it impacts quite heavily the partnerships which we are doing and the criteria for those partnerships which we bring into place. What we do quite actively nowadays is definitely to make sure that we ourselves are on par and following the trend with all the new requirements which are coming over. We work more and more with hyperscalers for our own solutions, right? So we are in active partnership with AWS. We have got also engagements with Azure and Google Cloud. So this is one dimension. And out of our partner ecosystem, in my view and out of my observation, it's quite important for us and for our install base as well to make sure that the partners whom we are onboarding, they also have got a strong track record and a strong experience in Europe and in European legislations, because of course on other sides of the globe the rules of the game, so to say, are different, right? And when the companies, for example, come in for the first time ever from the US, from China, from India, from wherever, in majority of the cases, they would need to explore all the specifics of operating in Europe from ground zero, more or less. And it can take a lot of time and effort. And you can create some hurdles and challenges for the partnership from the get-go. So I think this past track record of the companies, specifically in the European space, is quite important criteria for the partnerships from data privacy and compliance perspective.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting what you're saying, because we all know like data privacy is here to stay, having a strong presence already in Europe. It's been around for a long time. We know we have to do it. And these legislations are coming in all around the world. So at some point, everyone's just going to have to get on board and become compliant and start respecting the users. And it's not at this point just about doing it because you have to. It's actually more becoming doing it because it's the right thing to do. As Donna was saying, this is what we believe at Usercentrics. And there is now an opportunity to change the way that we see it, not just as this box to tick for compliance, but really about how to build your brand around trust. So would you say that this is what we think, but would you say that data privacy can even be seen as a competitive advantage? I know Donna's answer.
When done right, I'm pretty sure it can, and it is, right? Specifically in the European countries who also, like on the B2B side, our customers, as I mentioned earlier, do take it serious. And for them, it's not a nice to have, it's a must have if they interact with you. So clearly it can be a strong differentiator for you as a business if you know how to operate with these rules, right? And you do it successfully and without any hurdles for customer experience.
Yeah.
Anyone?
I was just thinking if you can make it a competitive advantage. I'm not pretty sure, honestly, but it's definitely a disadvantage if you do not play by the rules. Because as we were just saying before, it's something that customers expect, no matter if these are consumers or businesses you're dealing with. And I think that also the expectations customers have when it comes to data privacy and how the data is treated, it really developed maybe in the last 10 or 15 years. So I think if you asked people 15 years ago what they expect from a secure online shopping experience, they would have mentioned a few things like price transparency and security when it comes to shipping and all these things. And I think if you would ask this today, you would also hear more about data privacy. So this is something already expected by people. And I hope that in the future, it will not really be a competitive advantage, because I hope that any company does it. And even if you look at it globally, you see the trend not just for legislation picking up. We see the state of legislation in the United States. We see it in different countries where data privacy is more and more on top of their list. But also the discussions we see when it comes also to AI, although AI and data privacy don't necessarily have all the connecting points, but this is also something that brings more focus on the privacy topic, because I think many discussions we see when it comes about the discussions about AI is how much data do I need to give in order to have a well-working AI assistant. And this is the reason why I think you really need to make sure that you are there. Is it a competitive advantage if you do so? I'm not sure, but it's definitely a disadvantage if you don't.
Okay. So I would say personally, I don't know, Donna, if you want to chip in, that I think having trust in your brand is definitely a competitive advantage. And I think it's something that we're definitely trying to work on at Usercentrics, but I'm also the marketing person. So this is how my brain thinks. Donna, is there anything you'd like to chip in with?
Yeah, I do think it's a competitive advantage. Till, I like the idea that one day it's not going to be, because everybody's going to do it, because we're building this world in which it needs to be a given. We're not there yet. So at this point, it absolutely is a competitive advantage, because if it's going to trusted shops or a competitor, if it's going to company A or company B, and the company that prioritizes trust with users, the company that prioritizes protecting user data privacy, I believe can have a really strong messaging to their target audience that says, yes, we have the best product that aligns with your needs, and we're doing all of this while protecting you and your rights. And I think that is just a really, really compelling message. And to prioritize it means putting in work. Because we are still in a point where it requires a bit of tweaking to make sure that you don't miss out on anything if you are heavily compliant. So putting in that effort, investing those resources, I think goes a long way with target users, target customers when they are trying to choose who to engage with. I really do believe that.
So on that note, if we look at how companies should be building their strategy going forward, and we're saying that we should be putting trust and data privacy at the forefront of that strategy, what advice would you give for companies who are looking to adopt this, what we're calling a privacy-led marketing strategy?
because we're all software vendors here in this other form. Choose the right tool set would be the right advice, obviously, right? Because Frank has spoken, like, to make it serious, we did have experience quite recently ourselves when we did choose a tool for our internal usage, for our internal needs. And then on the way, we did figure out that in terms of having the real hands-on experience and understanding how privacy and compliance does work in Europe and specifically in Germany is a shortfall from their side. And we therefore needed to stop this engagement with them. So the right tool set which fulfills the requirements is really important, because otherwise you can have hurdles in the business and you can delay the programs you have originally planned internally.
Mm-hmm.
Agree 100%. I was about to say get a CMP, but I hear what you're saying.
You can say it,
Alexey. I hear what you're saying, Alexey. I agree. I really think that building the right tech stack, finding the right partners, which has been the theme that we've been discussing, I really think that how you do business and who you do business with goes a really long way in building a user-centric brand. I also think that making your customer the North Star goes a really long way. I see a lot of companies that are sales first, and I see a lot of companies that are product first. I don't see a lot of customers that are user first or customer first. And I think that's really, really easy to say, and it's much harder to do. And some of it has to do with the kind of technologies that you're onboarding and the kind of partners that you work with. But a lot of it has to do with every decision that you make and how much that decision making keeps the user in mind. And not to be a broken record, but I think that the concept of doing that in a way that focuses on what the user cares about, including privacy, transparency, control, and things of that sort, goes a really long way. So it's really considering the user in every decision that you make as a business, whether that's in your tech stack or partners or something else.
Till, any advice from you?
Yeah, what we've seen really when also like talking to companies that had very appealing strategies for like adopting privacy standards and all that stuff, they were really working great on it, and it looked great. And then we were having a look of some of the service providers they are using, because you do not run your things yourself nowadays. And what we then saw is that, okay, you do a great job in putting this first, and it's fantastic. But look at this particular service provider. I'm not sure if this is the right one for you, because they are known for not taking it that seriously. So in those days when you only do a part of your job on your own turf, choose your service providers wisely, and also double check them on the question of data privacy. And yeah, I think there will be a time, Donna, when you do not have to say that people need a CMP, but they know it. But I think nowadays it's still great to mention it, that it's an important thing.
Yes, I agree. I love that. Good plug there at the end. No, I agree with you. You shouldn't have to say, hey, collect data in a compliant way. That should absolutely be a given. I'm really, really excited that we're working towards a world in which choosing your partners and your vendors based on how they treat their users and how they work with data and collecting data in a compliant way is absolutely a given. And I'm excited that we're working towards that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I'm excited.
Which gives user-centric a lot of potential. Congrats, guys.
It does. And if anyone's interested, we're hiring lots of people. So come join us.
Come and join us.
I had to.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. This has been a really interesting episode. And just to summarize a little bit, the power of partnerships. There is so much power in partnering with the right people, as long as you're doing your due diligence, making sure that you are aligned, you have your goals set correctly, you have the correct targets in mind. You are also looking at things like data privacy. How are these companies that you're partnering with, your vendors, how are they respecting your users? How do we build a better future for our users together with our partners and also grow our businesses? So I think amazing insights from everyone today. Till, Alexey, Donna, thank you so much for coming onto this episode and sharing all of your experience and knowledge. It's been great. And if anybody would like to watch the next episode of Consented, please go and check out our website, usercentrics.com/consented. You can also find the podcast on our YouTube channel and on Spotify. So thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.